All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you, wherever you are in this beautiful world. Welcome to our Tuesday morning Inner Circle Live session. I'm your host, Ryan Carthage. We'll be joined by my awesome partner, Ms. Casey Jackson, and Mr. Benny Allen soon. Hope everybody's doing well today. Hope everybody's doing well today. Hope everybody had a great Monday. And ready to dive in. So as always, let's turn off all distractions, prepare your minds and your bodies to engage as you guys always do. And for the courtesy of everybody on the call, please ensure that your mic is muted if you're not actively asking a question or making a comment. All right. So we're going to dive in. We'll take a quick look at some fundamental things. Just a couple things I want to note. Then we'll dive into the charts and we'll do a recap from Saturday, and then we'll take a look at some setups that are still pending out there and see where those are. All right. So let's dive in. Over to trading economics. So we talked about gas a little bit over the weekend. From a couple different perspectives. So we got a couple things here happening with oil. Last week we talked about this Nord Stream pipeline and the work that was being done on it. And this turbine was being sent from Canada back to Europe, back to Germany, so that they could get this pipeline running. So they restarted the supply. However, that turbine never got to its final destination. So it never got back to the company. The turbine is currently sitting in Germany due to some back and forth in pointing the finger at whose fault it is. EU is saying that it's Russia's fault. Russia didn't supply the proper paperwork saying where the turbine was being sent to, even though it was going back to the destination that it was sent from. And Russia saying, hey, it's not our fault. So what's happening is this turbine is sitting in Germany, and due to, from what I've read both sides of it, but what it sounds like is due to the sanctions that are on Russia and things dealing with oil passing through the European Union, Europe hasn't finalized the proper paperwork to allow this thing to move back through. So that turbine is still sitting and has not gotten to its final destination. So Russia's like, all right, cool, no problem. They decreased the supply that they were giving. So initially they started it back up at 80%. They decreased it to 40% over the weekend. And as of yesterday, that turbine still hadn't been supplied. And now we're here. European gas prices soar as Russia cuts supplies. The EU natural gas futures jump above 109 megawatts per hour, moving closer to the March record on concerns of tightening of European supply. Gazprom, who is the largest natural gas and oil suppliers over from Russia to Europe, said that it would further reduce flows through the Nord Stream pipeline due to maintenance, delivering only 20% of its capacity, jeopardizing the region's objectives to fill 80% of its storage capacity before next winter. So the other thing is Europe is trying to press to fill their storage so that they can have gas supplies through the winter time, because they have a fear that the verbiage that's being put out is Russia's going to cut their supply so that they don't have enough fuel to get them through the winter, and they're going to have a energy crisis. That's where that narrative is coming from. And so that's their concern. And because this turbine hasn't been sent to the final destination, those supplies are being cut, right? So it's cutting down to 20%. So this is something for us to watch. Nord Stream pipeline, like I said, sends natural gas and crude to Europe for energy, and they're cutting all the supplies. So here, WTI crude futures rose above $98 per barrel, extending gains from the previous session as lingering concerns about tight supplies overshadowed weak demand prospects. Tensions between the West and Russia remain elevated as G7 nations prepare to impose a price cap on Russian oil. This is the other piece. The United States and their failed talks within Saudi Arabia. They're looking to cap the gas price so that the cost of fuel doesn't get to where it was last month, the month before. But Moscow pushes back against such plans, as it said it would not supply oil to countries that impose such restrictions. Russia's Gazprom also said supplies to the Nord Stream 1 pipeline to Germany would drop to 20% of its capacity, with higher natural gas prices leading eventually to a switch to crude as an energy source. Meanwhile, recent U.S. and European data already showed signs of slowing economic activity, while China narrowly missed contraction in the second quarter. The Fed is expected to deliver a 75 basis point rate hike, exacerbating fears of economic slowdown. So here's the deal. We got a decrease of supply, but we also have a decrease in demand, right? So we could still see the sideways movement continue to bounce back and forth. But yes, Ebony, the drama continues with oil. So we'll see how this all plays out. There's a ton of back and forth. China also has some more lockdowns due to COVID. So there also are restrictions there from a demand perspective. So we'll see how this price cap plays out, and we'll also see how the situation with Gazprom and the Nord Stream 1 pipeline play out. But things aren't looking good from an energy perspective, not just for Europe, but for all parties involved, due to this Nord Stream 1 pipeline situation. All right. It was here. The euro remains close to 102 in late July as recession concerns and the ongoing energy crisis in Europe weigh on investors' mood. This week's Gazprom said it would further reduce flows to the Nord Stream pipeline due to maintenance, delivering only 20% capacity, jeopardizing regions' objectives to fill the 80% storage capacity before next winter's heating season. Meanwhile, recent composite PMI for the euro pointed to a contraction in private sector activity in July, while the recent IFO business climate for Germany showed the economy is on the cusp of a recession. Later this week, preliminary data is expected to show that the euro area grew by a marginal 0.1% in Q2, and the inflation rate accelerated to a fresh record of 8.7%. The ECB already started to tighten monetary policy to tame soaring prices and delivered a bigger than expected 50 basis point hike in July, but the markets are already scaling back rate hikes expected in September, right? So they're not expecting the ECB to continue to press the 50 basis point scenario. So the euro is taking a back seat. The euro is taking a back seat primarily due to these energy issues, which are leading to increased prices, ultimately pointing towards potential recession fears. So that's also, we'll keep that in mind. All right. For this week, we got consumer confidence today. We got Aussie CPI coming tonight at 9:30. Big thing that we're looking forward to this week is the FOMC FOMC meeting with a statement, the federal funds rate, and the press conference coming tomorrow at 2:00 and 2:30. Right, that's what we're watching to see how the dollar comes out. Right, that's going to be big news, and then advanced GDP quarter over quarter. Right, this is also going to be a big number. See how the markets respond to it. If we come in at forecast or above, investors would like that. If we come in below, we could see some major reactions to the GDP number. as would be the second quarter of slower data, right? Slower gross domestic product. So we'll watch that there. Those are the two big things that's pointing for the week. On Friday, we do have CPI data coming in as well. I'm sorry, core PCE data coming in for the United States as well, right? So we'll see how the market responds to these points as we move through the day. All right. Any questions from a fundamental perspective? Nope. All right. Perfect. Let's dive into these charts. We'll take a look at the dollar. We'll take a look at oil, seeing what dance it's doing, and then we'll dive into the review from the weekend. So this is the dollar index, and this is on the 4-hour. We've been watching this for a bit, right? And we'll go back to the daily, right? This monthly level that we broke through, we said last week was going to be key, right? We came right back to that level, not able to close below. And now the market is trying to turn around and push back to the upside, right? Trying to turn around and push back to the upside. We did get that trend line break and push right into that monthly level, is that black line. So looking at it from a fib perspective, right, we're still sitting just above this 127 level, right? And that's where that monthly now showing as support was resistance is coming into play. So we want to see, do we get some follow through here? And do we get price to continue to press to the upside, right? Obviously, we'll see how the market responds to the conversations tomorrow. But do we press to the upside, get to this D extension, break that high, and potentially get to, right, these next daily and weekly levels, right? Does the market continue to press to the upside? Okay, so that's what we want to see there on the dollar. As we go to the 4, we'll zoom back out, run those fibs from the low. Here. There we go. And this is our look on the 4, right? We just came right back to retest that B boundary level, right? And this is that turnover in price. So we'll want to see if that continues, okay? We got that trend line break. This is that outer trend line. If price does turn back over and press down, right, we can look to see how it responds back at this trend line, right? This will be the next level of support that we come into, which is also in line with the key level of support here, right? So if price breaks below this monthly level, right, next level, we're looking at that 236 level here, okay? That's on the 4. The 4-hour D extension is here at this daily resistance level, right? So if things continue to press to the upside, we could see this zone as the next target for the dollar. Right in there, right? So we'll monitor and see. We'll monitor and see. But right now, price is turning over, right? And so when we look at those dollar pairs, right, we'll see the dollar pairs that are the counter currency pressing to the downside, and we'll see the primary, when the dollars are primary, pressing to the upside. All right. So good morning to those that just joined us. But that's the dollar. That's the dollar. Looking to see if this thing continues to press to the upside, right, and gets that full follow through and continues moving there. All right. Shauna, good morning, ma'am. Good to see you. All right. So any questions on the dollar? No? All right. Cool deal. And I was supposed to cover oil over the weekend, and I did forget. So I apologize for that. But here we are. So this is oil, right? Still doing its dance in between this AB boundary, right? It's pushed back down to that 8.6 retracement level. Wasn't able to fully break out below this weekly and daily levels, right, of support. And we're getting this stall, right? So question is, does oil turn over with the current environment that we're facing? Does oil turn over, break the trend line, and push back to the upside? All right, and it's on the daily time frame. Do we get this push here? right? That'll be interesting to see as we got this daily resistance level here. So on the lower time frames, this will be a nice move to the upside. We'll take a look at it. But from a higher time frame perspective, we want to start to see oil break these levels to the upside if it's going to continue up, right? If this is the point of reversal, it's going to continue up. If it's not able to break this daily level here, we could continue to stay in this range and just bounce, right? Just bounce back and forth as the the tide turns with the media battle between the two sides, Russia and Europe. And now we're adding in some other countries, United States and others, as they try to cap the price. Okay, so that's from a longer term perspective. We want to see, how the market responds as we move back and forth. We could stay in this range for a little bit, though. We definitely could. So we shall see. From the 4-hour perspective, this is that look, that move coming to the downside here. Let me go back real quick. Pull these out for a second. There we go. Now to the 4. So on the 4, right? That's the overall fib, right? From the top to the bottom. We did get, I don't know. So we didn't get a 786 retracement here. So the matching D extension would be down here at this $88 level. We'll see if we get that low, right? If price does stay below the trend line here, right, we could see another push to the downside. We'd have to break through these levels. So that's going to be the key piece. It'd have to break through those levels in order to get that low, right? $88 level. If the market and investors, if their recession fears continue to increase, we could see this thing turn over, right, and press back down to the downside. So tomorrow could be an interesting scenario that we work through with the Fed increasing rates, and then that GDP number as well could be an insightful one. If that GDP comes in lower, right, showing more contraction and slower growth, we could see this turnover and press to the downside, right? So this trend line is going to be one to watch. It's going to be key from this 4-hour perspective, right? So if you're playing this and you're already in this move to the upside, right, protect your profits and just watch this trend line as a key level of resistance as price moves into it. If we run a sub fib off this to the downside, and this is where we sit, which also kind of points to more downside. Does it take your profit and run? Yeah, for sure, right? Even here on the sub fibs to the downside, right? Still looking at more downward pressure, right? So this $88 level could come into play, right? Could come into play. If it does, we take out that A off the daily, and we were looking at fibs to the downside from a daily perspective as well. Okay, so keep your eyes peeled on this trend line as price continues to press to the upside. Okay, we definitely could see this. All right, definitely could see that. So we'll watch that and see. But that's oil. It's pressing to the upside now, but we want to keep our eyes peeled on the trend line. Any questions on oil? Desi, what are you seeing on oil?
That's the same thing I'm looking at. But what I did is from the last touch of the trend line, I have a fib running there.
Did you run that off the 1?
No.
You run off the 4 here?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. All right. So it came right back in.
I'm looking at that little piece right there.
Gotcha. Okay. I follow you on that. Let's see. I want to see what it looks like on the 1. I'm going to pull these out for a second. We'll run fibs on the 1 to see what that looks like. Could definitely be right in line with what you're seeing. Okay. So similar to the 4 from the high. Yeah, that's what you're seeing there. Okay. Yeah. I'm with you. We'll see. We'll see if we get that turnover, right? If it does press that trend line, we could take out that A. But yeah. That D extension is right at that A boundary.
Yeah.
We shall see. We shall see. But at the end of the day, it's all pointing to a turnover in price, right? And pushing back to the downside, right? So on the same page, for sure.
Yeah, I'm still looking for more downside push.
You looking at the $88 level as well?
Yes.
Okay. I'm with it. Desi, our resident oil expert. All right. So that's oil, good people. Anybody got any questions there? No? All right, cool deal. Let's do a quick review I posted these charts in the Facebook group as a quick review, but I want to review some of these setups from the weekend because the moves that we looked at played out, and they also set us up for other scenarios. So let's run through those real quick. This Aussie Yen, we're looking at this play. So from a daily time frame perspective, actually, no, we'll go to the 15 and we'll walk our way back, right? From the 15, this is the move that we're looking at to the upside, right? Bang, shallow retracement, 118 to 127 zone, price pushed. Gave us a beautiful push back to the 618 level, right in line with this daily resistance, right? We got the sideways push once we got there, right? Beautiful move to the upside, 108 pips. Got that push sideways, and now we're getting a push back down, right? Now we're getting a push back down. So we'll walk ourselves back to the higher time frame to look at where we could be headed if this thing continues to press to the downside. All right. So let's go. So we'll pop back to the daily and we'll walk our way to the one. All right. So all that move that we saw was literally just this daily candle here. All right. That's that move to the upside on the 15-minute. And it came right back to retest that daily level. Okay. Came right back to test that daily level. So what we're looking at overall on this is we got a 38 retracement, right? And we've been watching this daily level to see if we can push back above and close above to head to the matching D extension, which is up here, right? However, we haven't been able to break this daily level, right? Touched here, we broke out recently there, but came right back to it here and right back to it again here. So today and tomorrow is going to be key, right? We got that data coming in tonight for the Aussie. And then we got dollar news tomorrow. The yen could potentially follow the dollar in this case if the Fed is hawkish in the statement, right? So what we could see is a press down. Okay, so we'll watch that. But from a daily perspective, we want to see, do we start to get this downward pressure, and do we start to get breaks of these trend lines, pushing at least back down to this daily support level, right? Which we got a nice little cluster here of support levels. And then do we break that to continue down for a further push, right? As we move through to the 4, this is what that looks like. We got a couple scenarios here, right? We look at our fibs, maybe, let's see. Yeah, so our fibs got taken out on this one, on the move to the upside. And so this is where we sit on the 4-hour time frame, is here. We wicked out here at the 38.2 level, and then we pushed, but we couldn't fully break out past this daily resistance and get to the D extension, broke back down below. We got this nice retracement here. Okay, nice retracement again, came back to the trend line. Now we're looking to see, all right, what happens? What happened? So actually, that daily level, I apologize. That daily candle is not just that little bit, right? It's that full move back to the upside. Here, I misspoke on that. That's more than just one piece. Oh yeah, I was right. Okay, yeah. On the 4-hour, it's these 3 candles, right? These 3 candles to the upside makes up that 1 daily candle. So this was that move to the upside off the 15-minute, right? That 1 daily candle. Now we're hovering here at the daily time, at this daily resistance, and we're trying to press back down to the downside. So if you're looking at this from a 4-hour perspective, right? Last week, we got the trend line break, right? Pressed down, we came back and we retested that level. So now it's a question of, do we continue to get this downward push, right? Do we continue to get this downward push? And this trend line is the next level of support, right? We got some 4-hour support here, right here, that we have to break through, but we could be in for a continued downward movement again if the Fed comes in at target, or even if they have a slightly hawkish tone, right? We could see another push to the downside here, right? Overall, I'm looking for this move to potentially come back down to this daily support level if we're not able to break above this daily resistance. If we stay below, I believe we're going to be headed at least to this 91,946 level, maybe even deeper, depending on the scenario and how the week finishes, right? Could I add a trend line across the low? What you could do, Reese, right? Your original trend lines here, because ultimately this is still all consolidation. It pushed right back into that zone. Whoops. Move my daily level. Something like this. In this scenario, what you could do is this trend line, you just shift it to the outermost point like that, right? You just shift that trend line to the outermost point. This is all ultimately just sideways movement. It did break it to the downside, but it came right back to that zone, right? So we want to see, do we get a nice break? So you could shift that like that, running off that low, and then look for that break there. Gotcha. Okay. Yep. So that's where we sit, right? So as price presses down, right, do we break this trend line on that shift, and do we continue to the downside? So that's the 4. As we get to the 1, this is what happened, right? On that pushback to the upside, right, it just came here. We got AB boundary, we got a 618 retracement, right? And then we got a nice turnover and a press to the upside, okay? So again, it's a matter of, do we continue to press down and head to that next level, okay? Here on that move to the upside, we weren't able to break out, right? We said if we push above, we could see that continuation. But if we stay below, we'll look for that move back down. And that's what occurred, right? That's what occurred. And that gave us a nice retracement there, okay? So if we, let's see, right? That's your sub fib to the downside on the 1, right? On your sub fibs down, you got a nice AB boundary, right? And then you got a retracement of 786, right? 786 retracement. So in that combination, right, your capital fib here, your sub fib here, 786 retracement, we could potentially see maybe even just a deeper push, right? And then we'll see if we test that trend line. I mean, not the trend line, but this A boundary here, okay? But ultimately, overall, I'm looking for more downward movement from this pair, right? Overall, I'm looking for another press to the downside, especially as the dollar continues to pick up steam, as we just saw. Okay. So any questions on this Aussie Yen? No? All right.
You can come back up and retest the trend line on the 1 hour,
or come back and retest the trend line. Where are you looking
on
at?
the 1 hour. Like I drew a trend line.
Coming down here.
Yeah. Since it hasn't retest.
Look like that.
The other way. From the B.
Going to the upside. Gotcha. So it'll look like this. Like that. And then like that. Is that how you had it?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're looking for another pullback here to reach us at daily level?
Possibly.
Something like that. Maybe. We'll see. Yeah, for sure. We shall see. But right, my bias is short here. And that would kind of lend to that. If it stays below this zone, right? If it stays below that daily level, we could definitely see price continue to press down. Right? Definitely could see price continue to press down. Off of that, we did get a break of that trend line there on the one, as Ms. Darnett showed, right? So we'll see if we get a pullback in that continuation. Okay, so that's the Aussie Yen, right? But that move off the 15-minute was a beautiful play, right? CAD Swiss, another one off the weekend, right? Another one off the weekend. We saw price shallow retracement, right? So we wanted to get price to push down into this 118, 127 zone. And that's what we got, right? That's what we got. Nice press down just with that 118 level. Gave us a double bottom scenario here. And then we got the push, right? Did anybody take advantage of these setups Sunday to Monday? I hope you guys did, because it ended up working out to close to a little more than 700 pips with all these setups combined. Mary got some beautiful, right? Like we said, pick the best ones that fit you, right? That fit your rules. Joy already had trades in. Okay. All right. Bradley got some also. Beautiful. Great job taking action, everybody. Right. But beautiful move to the upside. Shallow retracement, 118, 127 zone. And then we got that push. Okay. We got that push to the upside. So those trend lines are done. Right. Gave us what we're looking for. And we push right back into that 618 level. Right. So if you're looking at off the 15-minute time frame, right, tracking that move to the upside as it was going. Bang. Right. Now you got your trend line break back down to the downside. We're getting a pullback now. We'll see if we get some continuation. Right. Getting a pullback now. We'll see if this thing turns back over, continues pressing to the downside. We shall see. Right? You know the things that we got going on with oil. So as we pop out, right, we had a nice in-depth conversation about this setup overall. And let you guys know that my overall bias is to the downside on this, especially if oil continues to take a backseat and if we move into this recessionary situation. And this is why, right? Even on the weekly time frame, we got a nice deep retracement, 50%, right? And we've been moving sideways for a very long time. But right, what I want to see is, do we get, right, ultimately a break of this trend line? Do we get a break of this trend line and continuation to the downside, right? If it does not, if we press higher, right, we could just continue to press higher, okay? So as we get to the 4, this is what this looks like on the 4. We got a 50% retracement. We've been doing this dance in between this daily resistance and daily support level, right? That move back to the upside, right? Off that 15-minute. That's that move there, pressing back above this daily level, okay? So we move back into that range. So we'll see if price turns over and presses down and stays below this daily level or not, right? But that's where we sit. So if price does break back below this daily level, right, we could see that continued breakdown to the downside. If it does not, we could see price continue to rise a little bit, right? We'll continue to watch oil as it's going to be a key factor in this, like I said, along with tomorrow and investors' fears regarding potential recession and continued interest rate increases. All right, so that's the CAD Swiss. If we drop to the 1, we didn't really look at it here, but off the 1-hour time frame, right, we got an 8-6 retracement. Okay, and this is that dance that we're doing from the higher time frame, right? So again, we want to see, do we get follow through on this, right? Do we get follow through on this and the break back below this daily support level? That's going to be key. I believe, right? But price is already trying to turn over and do its thing, so we shall see. Right, we shall see from a 15-minute time frame, though. Right, if you're playing this on the shorter term, right? You got some nice confluence, some nice little setup there. Okay. See if we get that follow through and push down to matching the extension. If that does occur off the shorter time frame, right? That plays out. That also puts us below that daily level that we're watching from the higher time frame, right? So again, if we get follow through here, that puts us in line with everything else that we're seeing from a higher time frame, right? Puts us back down here, and then we'll see. Okay, so that's the CAD Swiss. That's what we're looking at on the CAD Swiss, right? I don't know if any of you played this off the 15-minute time frame, deep retracement, right? But that's the setup that you could have played. And if you did off the trend line break, currently you have 13 pips. Overall, have been 32 pips to the downside. And if we get that continuation, looking at 124 pips to the matching D extension. Okay, so that's potential setup for you as well. Potential setup for you as well. Okay, so that's the CAD Swiss, CAD Yen. Again, off the 15-minute time frame, right? We're looking at this trend line, right? We said we wanted to get price to press down into this trend line and then give us that reversal. And that's what it did, right? That's what it did. It hit that D extension there, pressed down into the trend line, and then gave us this beautiful reversal. Gave us that beautiful reversal back to the upside, came back to this monthly resistance level, right? Took out the A on these on this 15-minute time frame, right? And ran back up. Ran back up. I thought I mapped out how many pips this one was, but off that press, off the trend line, right? 146 pips to the upside, right? Another beautiful, beautiful retracement play. So now on this one, off the 15-minute, we're sitting at shallow retracement, 118, 127 zone in conjunction with this monthly resistance level, right? Do we get price to continue pushing down, right? Deeper retracement into this, potentially back to this trend line, right? But it's all playing out the same. It's all playing out the same, okay? So do we get a pullback? And then a continuation, right? And that also give you, if that occurs, head and shoulders pattern, right? All those things come together, man. All of them come together. So let's bounce back out and look at this from a longer term perspective, right? We got two views from a weekly, right? Still not able to close above these monthly levels, right? We press back down. We keep testing this thing, we'll see what happens. But from a weekly perspective, shallow retracement, 118, 127 zone, we're stalling, right? We're stalling. From a daily perspective, same thing, shallow retracement, 118, 127, and we're stalling, right? Weren't able to press above and close above. Came back down, now we're retesting this monthly level, right? Coming into an inflection point, so we'll see if we get price ultimately break above, or, right, do we get price to break back down and come back below, right? Tried to break it there, couldn't quite do it, right? Came back, and now we're sitting back at the high, okay? So as we drop to the 4, right? I brought my daily fib down to the 4-hour time frame, and that's what I'm tracking this off of. Right, I'm tracking this off this daily fib here, right? Ultimately, again, my bias is in favor of the yen crosses with the current environment. Fed continue to increase interest rates and recession fears. Japan hasn't made any changes, and they don't plan on making any changes. However, right, with recessionary fears, we could see the yen continue to gain strength. Okay, could see the yen continue to gain strength. So I'm looking for this ultimately to turn over and continue to press to the downside. All right, like so. All right, this was that move off the 15-minute to the upside right there, retest, and now looking forward to continue down. Okay, so that's the 4-hour look off of this. And as we get back to the 1, this is what that looks like on the 1. right? That beautiful retracement off the 15-minute, testing that trend line. Testing that trend line. 618 retracement in line with monthly level. Beautiful play. Beautiful play. So now we're sitting at this support level here off the 1, right? And again, do we get that potential head and shoulders pattern? Bang. Something like that. Okay. So that's the CAD yen. Looking for this thing to turn over, right? And continue pressing to the downside. Yes, oil is doing this thing right now, but that's going to be a continued back and forth conversation. Okay. Going to continue to go back and forth. So, right, do we get that turnover and press back down to the downside, ultimately getting to this level, 104, and then over the long term, at least to this 103, 367, and potentially lower if we're going to get to this daily 382, which is down here at $94. Okay, so got a long way to go, but we'll see if this is the start of it, right? This initial break, pullback, see if we get another break and another pullback, right? So we'll see. We'll see. So that's the CAD yen. Any questions there? No? All righty. Let's see what just happened. The euro is taking a major hit. And we'll take a look at euro CAD setup also before we wrap it up. Euro yen was another one, right, off the weekend. And off the 15, right, we said come back to retest this weekly level that we broke through here, right? And if we broke above, we could see a deeper push. If we stayed below, we could see it turn over and press down. And we stayed below, right? We stayed below. And we're pressing down, right? That euro is taking a major hit right now. But this retracement to the upside didn't get us to the 38.2 level, but it still got us 110 pips, right? Still got us 110 pips back to that resistance level, 119 pips at its high. So another beautiful move to the upside. Now we're looking at this thing continuing down, right? So overall, on this euro yen, this is the look. We didn't get a 38.2 retracement, right? Off the daily time frame. We got this consolidation, came back, retested it, and now we're pressing down, right? Broke this weekly level, retested it there with those pullbacks, and now we're pressing to the downside. Next destination, 136.852, right? And with this one, again, the euro's taking a beating, right? If we continue to move into these recessionary fears, we could see these levels continue to break and continue to press down, right? So this is another one, yen cross. I'm bearish, right? That pullback gave us a nice opportunity to look at more downside pressure. Okay, so if we continue to break levels, I'll continue to hold this trade to the downside. That 38.2 level there at 132.676 is still quite a ways away, but let's see, 586 pips from where price currently is. So still decent amount of downside opportunity here off the daily time frame, right? So if we get to the 4, excuse me, this was a look from last week, right? We had this nice press to the downside. We had this beautiful retracement, 8.6 level. Then we got our trend line breaks, right? And we got our trend line breaks. You could have drawn that more aggressive one there, or sit and wait like this, because ultimately that's the close of the candle. Bang. That trend line also came from the 1 hour. Excuse me. But this is what that looked like. 8.6 retracement, push down, right? Excuse me. Strong press to the downside. Took back a little bit of that move. Excuse me. And now we're continuing down. Okay. So matching extension is here at 136,340. Okay. Still a ways to go. My bad, everybody. Still got a ways to go to the downside there. But that's what we're looking at. Moving down, moving down. Is anybody in this to the downside?
No.
No? Okay. Cool beans. Cool beans. Beautiful move so far. Drop to the 1, and this is what that looked like. All right. This is the start of these moves, man. So look, price pressed up. We got a 38 to retracement, but we couldn't fully break out to the upside. Missed my order by 10 pips. I'm sorry, Donut was in the buy. Gotcha. Right, beautiful move to the upside. Strong press could not break out to the upside and got us to turn over and press down. Right, so this is what that looked like on the 1, and this is the move down. That's the move down, right? So on the 1 hour time frame, that retracement that came back and retested that weekly level on the 1 hour, right? If you're tracking this off the 1, that retracement Sunday, Monday, put you at a 618 retracement level, right? Put you at a 618 retracement level. So now we're tracking this to the downside, matching the extension 137,494, right? Off of that move, which again puts us below the trend line. Looks at that continuation move to the downside. Okay. So all signs pointing down. Key level in conjunction with key fib level on the 1 hour time frame. Beautiful, beautiful, right? It's interesting. These were some some textbook scenarios that set up for us, right? Almost on the nose. Almost on the nose. So that's the move to the downside, looking for that to continue. Okay. Any questions on that Euro Yen? Nope. All right. Cool deal. Pound yen. Pound yen. This thing is wild, man. Right. But another one. Take this off. Another one off the 15-minute. Right. This is the move down. This is the sideways push. Sunday. Bang. 8-6 retracement. Here's your stop and profit. Awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome work. Awesome work. Right? So beautiful move, 8-6 retracement, right? Shallow retracement, 118, 127 zone, bang, right? 179 pips to the upside. Okay. Now you got a nice deep retracement. This is on the 1, right? This is on the 1. Nice deep retracement. Price is turning over, pressing down, right? So if you were playing this off the 1, right? You got your trend line break to the downside. Maybe. Like so. That would have been your sideways push. You would have adjusted that to the outermost point, like so. Bang. Right? 8-6 retracement, trend line break. It's falling, right?
So Ryan,
Yes.
so I was in this actually from the downside, and as long as I have my zone mapped out, because when I didn't see this play, I was already in it from the downside, but that candle took me out, and I noticed price was back to where my original entry was, and it's like I got beside myself, because I started looking at this. And when I seen this fib, I said, well, maybe I should just let it do what it do and see if it comes down to to the sweet spot to go back up. So I stopped playing it down from the downside.
I got you. So it ultimately comes down to your overall bias, right? And to be honest, with this one, like from a longer term perspective,
I see
just
down.
sideways, right?
Yeah.
It's just sideways. So you made some money off of it, which is a beautiful thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but it's just sideways, and you had an upside target, right? This is that D extension here on the 4, right? So you had that
Yeah.
upside target in mind, which is right in what we talked about. You know what I mean? Because we were looking for price to push to that level. In these situations, because it's so sideways, you got to protect yourself. So I think you did the right thing, being uncertain, right? Allow us to take
Yeah.
your profit, you know? So now it's just, do you get a pullback, another opportunity to enter this if your bias overall is to the downside, right? For me, my bias on this one is down, right? Bank of England is looking at increasing interest rates. Inflation is kicking their butt. Yes, all of those things. However, the way the current environment looks, again, with the US, the Fed looking to increase interest rates, and just the verbal sentiment of investors, you have a lot of bearish tone, right? So for me, my bias in this one is to the downside. I'm looking at this one following the dollar, whichever way the dollar goes. And currently the dollar is pressing to the upside. So if the dollar is pressing to the upside, I'm looking at the yen pressing to the downside. So that's why for me, on my entry on this one, which was off the 4 hour, and I played this move here. Why I'm okay sitting in this trade is because my bias on this is bearish, right? Even here when price, because I was up all of this, price came back, right? And I moved my stop loss in the profit some, but originally it was there, right? But price came back, right? I was in drawdown some as well as we move through this to the downside. But because my bias is what it is, I'm okay with just allowing this thing to go.
I got you. I
You
was
know what I
about to
mean?
jump back in. But I was like, my rules said don't be playing jump double dutch. So
Don't double dutch.
I didn't double dutch. It was another reason why, and I can't fathom why. But I want to say it got to be because my whole goal, I think, I like for the 1 hour and the 4 hour to be, what you call it? What's that word? I can't pronounce it.
Confluence.
Confluence. Yeah. And when I started seeing that the 1 hour and the 4 hour is like shaking hands or, in opposite direction, I get kind of hesitant. So I still see it being bear, but it's like when you got your zone mapped out, when should I say no? Because my whole thing is if it's more than 20 pips out from my zone, don't take it. But I'm still out. I'm looking at it now like, dang, I could have took it.
I mean, that's a good rule, right? That's going to be solely based on you.
Gotcha.
And what you can do is in those scenarios, really using your trend lines, right? Pressing in there. Why is that? I knew this was weird. Use your trend lines as additional confirmation. So if it doesn't get to your level, right? Okay, cool. Did I get a break of the trend line? So this is something that you might test and maybe add into your rules. Okay, it didn't get to 618 retracement, right? But did it get to a 50% retracement in conjunction with a key level of support or resistance?
Okay.
And did it then break the trend line?
But GJ don't but GJ don't really move until about a good right after London open. I noticed. At least for when I be looking at it, when I wake up in the morning, it be all over. So I don't hear the alarm. So it's like,
for sure.
That's another reason why I left it alone too, because I wasn't gonna be up to see if it was gonna cross that trend line. Yeah. And I keep putting these limit orders in, and because the spread increases, I keep I missed it by 10 pips. So.
Those spreads are interesting, man, for sure.
And that's how I end up being. Yeah, that's how I end up getting caught at the half, knowing I could have just, waited a little bit and end up I'll get stopped out, but it's like whatever. But I'm good. I got right. I
And
made
so
some money
that's
off of
something
it.
to look at, right? How many pips are you missing these by? Is it 10 pips? So if that's a consistent range, 10 to 15 pips, 20 pips, right? Do you look at from your key levels, right? Do you look at maybe shifting your limit order by that little bit and just adjusting it from a risk to reward standpoint, right? I know you're still trading small,
Yeah.
but looking at it from that, okay, if it's consistently 10 or 20 pips, maybe I move my limit order up by 22 pips, right? Because that's one of the reasons you hear Benny say, right? We place these limits on these levels, right? When we are putting limit orders in, we put it in front of that 618 level or in front of that 786 level. And
that's exactly where I've been putting it at, because I've been looking at where the consolidation is right before, or like you say, a key level. And I'll put it like 15 pips above that. But gotcha. I still, and I just think maybe it's just the spread that's getting me, that after 5 o'clock spread, and I'm putting these orders in before 5 o'clock. So I think maybe it's when I'm putting my my orders in. I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out. And
that 5 o'clock piece is key too, because it opens wide, and I do my best not to put anything in at that time. I'll legit wait, right? I'll wait till 6:30, 6:45 to allow those to chill out. And if I miss a trade, I miss it. But I also have my trend line. So then I'll say, okay, if I got a trend line break here, I'll wait for a pullback. And then once I get that pullback, then that's additional confirmation for me to go ahead and enter that trade, right? Because now my other rules are met. I got a trend line break and I got a pullback. It held, so that gives me a little bit more confirmation also.
Okay, bet. For sure.
The other thing on this one, right? This push down in this pullback is also what you got. All right. So you got this crown pattern playing out as well. You know what I mean? So you're starting to see the
And I think I did see that, and I lost it because I actually want to say I dropped it down from the daily. I want to actually, was it EJ or GJ? I want to say that I dropped it from the daily, and I mapped it down to the 1 and the 4. I got something, and I'm not on that computer right now, so I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine. But yeah, so that's another thing from a lower time frame perspective, right? This one, it looks a little weird, but detailed, that's what you got. So that's even more, right? Because that could have been your entry there off the right tip to the downside. So
that's exactly what I was looking at. That's exactly what my original was at, and I put it in that profit. I put it 50 pips in profit. Normally I do 20. If I would have did my normal 20, I probably would have still been in it. But this time I was kind of like whatever, and I just put it in 50 pips in profit. So
for sure.
And it just stopped me out. So I mean, I'm okay with it. But I was I think where my error is coming in, I'm doing fine with my initial entry. So what I stopped doing was my 2. Only because I wanted to be a little bit more conservative and then build back up to it. And so I was what's been hurting me is my second entry. Because by the time I'm doing my second entry, I'm at a 0.2. I done graduated. And
I love it.
But that's what's taking me out is the second entry. So it's like, I want to go back to doing my initial 2 from the beginning. But I've been trying to develop myself, so to see where the pullbacks is, to get in, and climb it down. So I'm working on it. I'm sorry.
Hey, no, that's beautiful. But that's how you learn it, right? That's how you learn it. That's how you learn, right? Do I want to stick with my 2 entries at the beginning and instead I take profit levels one at one and one at another? Or do you scale into it, right? Because even then you can still scale into it. It's just understanding where for you want to do that. And I'll take a look at this Aussie dollar, which hasn't really moved much, but we'll monitor some of those and we'll walk through that scaling process. because it is one that you have to, you have to find what works for you, right? In that, whatever that routine is of how you're looking at it, when you're looking to add, and how you run your fields depending on the time frame. So I feel you. It took me a minute to hone in on that as well. So,
but the
but
best
it takes
thing
practice.
about it, I'm comfortable with it though. That's the funny thing about it.
That's
You know,
awesome.
right now I've been freaking out, but I'm okay with it.
Yeah. And the other thing too, right? The environment is crazy. The environment is so back and forth right now. So it that adds another level of complexity to it. You know what I mean? And what's awesome about this is for you guys that are learning this skill now in this extremely complex, multi-layered, I'm going to use the word hostile, but just uncertain environment, right? These are difficult times to trade in. You know what I mean? Because it's so back and forth and there's so many layers to it. So those that are just learning this skill in this environment, as things move forward and once some of these things at some point, whenever that is, start to ease up, there'll be other things, but you'll be able to hone that skill through fire. So you'll be able to, as things ease up in some of the different markets, you'll be able to trade this thing and see it. And you'll be like, oh, this is what this looks like on a regular day. You know what I mean? Things aren't so back and forth and so hostile in some scenarios. So it's a beautiful time to learn this skill, man. You guys are doing an awesome job.
It's like I sit back and I'm grateful for the season that, you know, I stumbled upon here, but it's like, dang, I wish I would have seen this when it was more calmer, because I remember like, oh, dang, it was nice and smooth. And that's how I think my muscle memorized price action and the smoothness that it was like in 19. But now, man, it's sitting over here doing the jit, it's doing the jitterbug. I mean, it looked like Crazy Joe. And I'm for real. When Trump was president, it looked like Trump talking. And with Crazy Joe in, it looked like Crazy Joe. Look, right there. That's Crazy Joe right there. So
yeah, the personalities of the market is wild, man. It definitely does have different personalities at different times. That's real talk, man. That's real talk. The personalities are crazy. And if you look at some markets, right, like your indices, those personalities, you can even break those down by times of day, right? You can tell how it's moving, what time of day it is. In the morning between the New York Open and 12:30, 1 o'clock, the S&P is going to move a certain way. From 1 o'clock.
I guarantee this week, tech is really not going to do good, because somebody just sold, what, 200, was it Tesla? Just went ahead and dumped their Bitcoin. And it's like, I was looking at the S&P and all of that, and it was just going crazy. I was like, oh, okay, I see what they're talking about now.
Yeah, you have that. You have a lot of companies that are missing projections. You got a lot of companies that are starting to cut their workforce. So some of these things we may not see in this earnings cycle, but the next earnings cycle we will, right? There's some companies that they haven't stated it to the public. They're saying that we're just, what's the corporate verbiage they used? We're being strategic in regards to our hiring. That's the corporate verbiage that they use to the shareholders. But what they're saying is we're not hiring at all, and we are looking for natural attrition, right? So they're cutting back, and they're cutting back in major ways. That's ultimately what they're saying. But what it does is it makes their financials look better because they shifted money from one side of the business to the other, right? So it's an interesting environment. It really is. And the tech sector is definitely taking a hit. It's definitely taking a hit. Yeah, man, it makes for an interesting space. It makes for a very interesting space. We'll take a look at a couple more real quick. This NZD Swissy, right? This is a 15-minute move that we also looked at, right? 118, 127 zone. Want to see price press firmly down into that. We got that. And then we got the move back to the upside. 786, just shy of an 86 retracement off the 15-minute time frame. And again, beautiful move up, right? Came back, didn't quite get to retest that daily resistance level, but we got some consolidation, and now we're getting another breakdown, right? So 786 retracement, matching extension on the 15 is here at 59,923, right? So beautiful move to the upside, and now you got your beautiful move back down, right? So that's what I was saying at the beginning of the session. These setups that we had over the weekend, they were beautiful in one direction. It gave us prime opportunities to also come back in the other direction. So if you didn't want to trade that counter trend move, okay, cool. You were able to wait on a high price to then sell that thing back down, right? Or low price to then buy the thing back to the top, right? So this is another scenario, 786 retracement. We got the trend line break, bang, price moving to the downside. Now we're getting a retracement, and we'll see if we get some follow through, right? Continuation down. So beautiful setup, beautiful play, right? So that's NZD Swiss on the 15-minute time frame. Overall on this one, we got this this crown pattern here on the weekly. Was it this one? No, that wasn't this one. I'm sorry. Not a crown pattern here. Nope, not at all. We're just pressing to the downside is what we're doing. Yeah, just an overall move to the downside, right? So we came into this scenario. We broke this daily support level, shallow retracement, 118, 127 zone. We'll see if we're able to break back to the upside here. Might have a tough time doing it, especially if we continue to press into potentially risk-off environment. If that occurs, then I don't think we see the top side of this daily resistance level. I think we stay below and we continue to press lower, right? So that daily level is going to be key. Daily level is going to be key there. Okay. Yeah. So that's where we sit there on the NZD Swissy. This Aussie dollar be the last one, and then we'll wrap it up. Aussie dollar, right? From a 4 hour, we're watching this pushed into, right, the 618 level. Bang, right? Got this consolidation here. Now we want to see, this is what we're looking for. We got that sideways push. Now we really want to see if we get a break of this trend line to the downside, and if we get that continuation, that movement. That's what we're watching, wait and see. But take some time. Take some time for it to play out. But that's where it is. Yeah. Definitely taking forever. It's a bounce back and forth for sure. Bounce back and forth for sure. And this is what the look on the one, right? Same thing. We tested that trend line. We pulled away. See if we get another push and a break. Right? But that's the Aussie dollar. So in this one, right, looking at the price action move to the downside, my original entry is there. I'm waiting for price to press down, right? And then when we get a pullback, I'll look to add to the trade, right? And then we'll break a level, and then we'll pull back, and I'll look to add to the trade. So ultimately, I'm looking for this thing to continue down. So that's the Aussie dollar. I know that was a quick look, but that's what we're looking at there, right? So we'll use this one as a test case, and we'll see adding to the trade as we move through. All right. Any questions on anything that we covered this morning? Nope. All right, good people. Ben will be back with us tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the Asian session. We'll see you tonight. Have an awesome day, right? Be patient. Allow your rules to be met. Don't rush things. Don't take every trade you see. And allow the market to come to you. All right. Have an awesome day, everybody. Peace.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You're welcome. Thank you.